So the last area I'll show you is Conduit. And so CalStudio Conduit is the last remaining component of CalStudio that we have planned on the roadmap currently. The last application that's being added to that list with the limbs, compose, and conduct. And so what this is allowing us to do is build these integrations. For those of you using Met-Team, where you're using data checks and things like that around the business rules, that really goes away and is replaced here with a much more powerful tool that's also a lot easier to use. There's no more relying on understanding JavaScript and how to write those weird triggers that are happening. This is a library of connections and a library of available tools that we can use to build really meaningful workflows and meaningful integrations very quickly. We want CalStudio not to just be a calibration system and not just to be another tool that kind of fills the collection of your tools. We want this to be something that can serve as a hub of information and your source of truth for calibration, and then link effectively with other systems. Whether that's your ERP system or a financial system, or integrating with some other thing that I can't even think about. We want this to be really flexible and really effective to do that. And it's just not possible for us to build all these integrations ourselves, right? And we shouldn't try to. And so giving you the tools to do that, and to do it without a whole bunch of custom code and a whole bunch of third-party tools to build onto that, that's really what we wanted to do here with Conduit. And so I will show some of how that works here. And it's still kind of wrapping up where we are. So this is CalStudio Conduit. You can see here I've got my dashboard where I can see kind of an overview, right? The executions that have been running. When we have this fully implemented and fully set up on the production side, right, we'll have the marketplace of things that we can provide, of connections, of workflows that we can create. We can have our connections here and configure these, right? So you can see I've got some connections to CalStudio. I've got some API keys set up here. This allows us to create those connections to those third-party tools. If I look at some of the workflows here, and I'll actually start a new one to just kind of show how that works. There's some built-in tools to help me do this more quickly, but all these applications here, these all have connectors that we can build to. And so, for example, right, we can search for CalStudio. There's a CalStudio connector in here, but there's also things like Outlook, right? So I can connect my Outlook service, working with my IT organization to get that added as an application that connects to it, given the permission to do things like receive emails or send emails. But once I have those correct configurations, or I can just use webhooks, then I can build these workflows and drag and drop these other types of components in here. And that includes things like logging, right? Or custom code, where I can actually write code that runs as a part of this, or I can pull in any API call that I want to do and run that from a workflow. So what this is allowing us to do is very flexibly do pretty much whatever we can imagine in a CalStudio triggered or CalStudio integrated workflow. And so some of the ways that we can trigger this, right? If we change out this trigger, we can trigger it based on an action in CalStudio. And so here you can see, right, the work event webhook. So this will allow us to, on a specific event type in CalStudio, trigger this workflow. And so if I wanted to send myself an email, or send the customer an email when their work order was created, or update some other system that a asset had gone into calibration and was no longer available to be used there, I could trigger this workflow, build that call to that other system, and then have that be something that's triggering every time a work order is created. And then I have another one where I trigger, and when the work order is closed, I update that system to say this is now available again, here's the new due dates for that system. So all of that really allows us to build these really integrated systems very effectively. Like I said, really the limits of CalStudio Conduit are your own imagination. I was in there playing with it last night and just coming up with ideas and coming up with things to build. It's really exciting. As someone who uses things like Power Automate a lot, it is a powerful tool that will also allow our professional services team to help out in building those types of integrations with you, working with you as a part of that onboarding process, finding those opportunities for those touch points and configurations.